Hello YouTube and welcome to GrunfWorks. This is episode 60 of the Interplanetary Voyage of Exploration. And this was exciting than a couple of episodes, especially with the last one being Jeb landing on the surface of Duna. Although he was pretty lucky to get out there alive, or without consequences. Well, this episode we are actually playing a little bit more close to home, because our SSTO that's using Rapier engines have been completed, and we will be playing with G. Kerman for pilot and Mr. Fisher some engineer. And today's mission is repairing the Kbble. If you remember in the episode, I think it was 52, or I don't exactly remember, we had an issue where basically our Kbble got turned into the sun, and basically its processors were fried. So Mr. Fisher and are carrying aboard our newly built SSTO, the Rapier Mark 1. They're carrying two processors, one for the asteroid and one for the wide field camera. So those two should hopefully be installed at the Kbble. Now, since this is pretty much new design and I'm not that confident in terms of delta V, how much it has, I'm kind of thinking that we will be first thinking of going to orbit. Then we will rendezvous with our orbital lab, perform the crew replacements, and because Mr. Fisher and will replace the current crew of the KSS Orbital Lab 1, and they would and then the crew that originally was at the station should go repair the Kbble and then return back to Kerbin after their long mission. So that's the plan anyway. I have to point out that this SSTO design was similar to the last one that we were using. We just replaced the engines with Rapiers, and that netted us a lot better thrust to weight, both in terms of air breathing mode and also the closed cycle. So now we have switched to closed cycle at 35,000 meters, which is pretty decent ceiling, and we are already, our apoapsis is at 82, so that's just perfect. So now we're just lining up our maneuver node to meet up with the orbital lab, after which we will be performing, as like I said, refuel and everything else. So it's pretty action-packed episode, and it's the first time that I was using a mid, or that I will be using a mid orbit refueling, especially for the SSTO, but I think it will be interesting and something new to basically show. And a welcoming addition after all the interplanetary transfers and stuff. Although I must say I pretty much enjoyed landing Jeb on Duna, that was also kind of fun. But anyway, this is a way for me to mix it up a little bit. Okay, burning for the circularization. Let's go in 82 by 100, and then we will be doing a couple of orbits until we get a rendezvous with the space station. So we still have 1095 meters per second, and I'm not sure that this should be enough to meet up with a Kbble. Probably could be, and maybe even deorbit. But then again, this would be more fun, because we also need to replace the crew of the science lab. They have been up there long enough. Time for them to come home and do some other missions. So, we have our rendezvous, after which we will be kind of performing the docking to the KSS Big Bang. Oh, sorry. KSS Big Bang. I don't know what I was thinking. I was thinking of my other previous series, sorry. So of the Space Lab 1, I guess. Kerbin Orbital Lab 1. Sorry. Anyway. let us just see if we can do some time warping until we get there. I'm just setting up a maneuver node just before the encounter rather than setting up a near proximity alert. And since we are closing we are in pretty similar orbits, so our relative velocity should be pretty low when we come close to the station. And we are perfectly aligned, so I'm actually very happy and optimistic regarding this approach. And we see the station 20 kilometers down in the Kerbin, so we are approaching it. 6.2, yeah, station Orbital Lab 1, sorry. Okay, just aligning our approach a little bit. Well, I'm confident that we would have enough delta V to actually go to reach the orbit of Kbble. I'm not that confident in terms of that we would have enough to make the rendezvous. And we have physics warp kicking in for the Orbital Lab 1, and we are within 1.5 kilometers in. So 22 meters per second, which is decent approach speed for this distance. So I'm just keeping my attitude and keeping my retrograde orbit or target retrograde marker on the Orbital Labs marker so that we are always going directly towards it. And 230 meters, so we are closing up on it pretty fast. Note that this is in roughly 3.5 times acceleration because of the frame rate and also playability. I didn't want these transfers to take forever. Wow, this is a beautiful shot. We get Moonrise just above Orbital Lab and our SSTO coming in for the docking. Very nice. So let's fire up the docking alignment indicator, and we are, yeah, screenshot, and we are going in for the docking. Oops. Sorry, I paused there for a second. Anyway, just making sure to align the to make the proper alignments. Yep, something along those lines. And Mr. Fister and Uno are enjoying the ride, so that's good to hear. Last two Kbbles that I've sent in an SSTO were scared to death. So okay, lining up for on the approach. 30 meters, 20 meters, and the tank of water is leaking, whichever that is. We'll have to, I guess, just fix it later. So stopping, and 1 meter, and docked. Wonderful. We have our SSTO docked to the station. So opening the cargo bay, and right now I'm taking Mr. Fister to actually fix the insulation on this part, but I don't think that was the problem, but we'll see. Okay, now it's time to shuffle the crew. So I'm moving, I don't know if this is Mr. Fister or Uno. I think it's Mr. Fister. So moving him to Zoology Bay, where he will be joining our cows for some testing. After all, engineering and cows, yeah, why not? Then we have Uno, and Uno will be hanging outside, I guess, of Science Lab. Okay, I've cranked up a little bit because it was too dark. So, okay. Now let's take Phoenix. Hey there, buddy. You've been there on the station long enough and you have performed some good experiments. Time for you to fix the Kubble and go home. And please stop fiddling around, will you? He likes to do that from time to time, so I'm opened up the ladder. And for my faithful viewers, you know that I'm having like really odyssey when it comes to ladders, so yeah. Okay, board, and now we have, I think this is Mike, I think. Yeah, okay, grab on and get in. Perfect, or is it Mario? I'm not sure. Anyway, transferring all of the fuel to the SSTO, so liquid fuel and oxidizer, making sure that the SSTO is properly refueled. While we don't need to fully refuel it, we still need to have transfer a decent amount of fuel so that it can actually perform all the maneuvers we need it to be. And also I'm putting in monoprop so that we can actually do some maneuvering as well. I mean, theoretically we don't need monoprop, but then again, it makes things so much easier. Okay, screenshot. And let's set Kbble as a target and let us go towards it. So, undock, and we have Mike J and Phoenix Kerman. Perfect. Okay, so time to plan the rendezvous with the Kubble. Let's see, how do we make it? Okay, maybe not here, maybe not here. Maybe we turn it somewhere along these lines. Let's see, maybe. Okay, we're close. We might get a decent intersection, and game, please don't hate me. Okay, a little bit fiddling with the maneuver node, but I think we can keep at that, and then we will fix it once we come closer. Okay, a total of 169 meters per second. Not really that much. And we have a total of 2.6 grand delta V, which should basically be enough that we even maybe go to, I don't know, Duna, or I guess. But then again, still. This craft is not equipped with enough life support and everything to go to Duna. It's more of a orbital maintenance vessel. So, doing a couple of orbits for a total of 42 minutes, I guess. Doing laps around Kerbin with the Station Orbital lab in tow, I guess. So, let's see. Sometimes when you're playing later in time acceleration, some maneuvers that you were doing just briefly look like as if you were having seizures. Sorry about that. Okay, fixing now the approach, and let's see. Burning ever so carefully, just to see that we line it up correctly, and come on. A little bit forward, back. And then fiddling a little bit with the maneuver node as well. Hopefully that should stabilize it. Okay. Well, that's good enough, I'd say. 22 more meters per second, and yeah, move it a little bit back and forth, and then you get almost a perfect encounter. Perfect. Okay, and it's a little bit more, 103, but then again, we don't need to care, we have plenty. That's why it's good that we refuel, so that we don't have to worry about our delta V. So, pointing the craft in the right direction and waiting for our burn, which should be coming in 3 minutes, roughly. Okay, and well, let's go and burn to meet the Kbble. Ever since I deployed that telescope, I have never basically touched it apart from doing some screenshots or doing something observations, so we never actually went and visited it. So I think it's actually kind of cool that we get to revisit and do some maintenance on it. And it's only fitting. So, aligning our relative velocity, 20 meters per second, which is good enough. Okay, a little bit of time warping still, then fixing our approach. Then doing a little bit of magic with RCS, making sure that we're going like around 10 meters per second, which I find to be more or less the sweet spot when going like that. And we have to do some more corrections, I would say. Okay, we're fixing our approach, 7.7 meters per second, and I'm just making sure that I burn a little bit more, a little bit closer when it comes to target velocity, because I really want to come as quickly and as close as possible. So I'm kind of a little bit... yeah, well, patience is not my virtue, what can I tell you? Okay. Okay, lining up, and I don't know why this number, why actually our target gets unset when you approach it, but we're 52 meters from the Kubble telescope. You can see it slightly in the background just behind our SSTO, opening up the service bay, and we are aligning so that we actually illuminate it with our reflectors, and there we go, there it is. Fixing that our relative speed is 0, extending the ladder, and Mike, you get a chance to fix the Kbble. So please take some spares, because we have to fix the battery as well. And then here we also have our cacti asteroid camera. Great. So coming up on the Kbble, and it's I think it's really cool that we see Kbble illuminated by our SSTO's lights. Really gives that kind of realistic feeling. So let's go into the service bay, and you can see here that basically one of the processors got fried, which means it's not even there. So let us store. Great. That pretty much fixes the issue of the processor. Then we have the battery that we need to fix. Come on, come closer. Repair the battery. Perfect. And then we need to just close the service bay, and we should be on our merry way. Beautiful. Well, this was a simple enough mission, right? Oh, and we have a moon behind our SSTO. Ah, that's nice for scenery. Okay, Mike, come on. Please, stop fooling around. Great. Closing things and getting ready to leave. So we just want to illuminate it once again. Great. Mandatory screenshot. Beautiful. And we are going into shadow, so time to plan our return home. Just one more screenshot, hold on. Okay, I'm still trying, I'll still see which one. Whoa! Motor has failed. Dang it, you really know how to pick the time. Okay guys, well, I guess we have one more quick fix to perform. Well, fortunately enough, the malfunction happened before we actually left, so that was on the positive side. So we could actually just go and fix this. Great. Coming in. Repaired the motor, and Mike J is advancing in his experience. Well, no wonder, you've been fixing Kbble the whole time, so great. Okay. Mike, please stop taking selfies and get back to the KSC. You're needed there for different missions, so yeah. Okay. And coming back to the ship, and I think we should be getting the hell out of here before Dengit comes up with another beautiful excuse to give us another reason to stay. Yeah. Orbit, burning our orbit retrograde, and bye, Kbble. Okay, great. That being done, let's unsect the Kbble, and now we should be burning retrograde to lower our orbit. And obviously, Dengit wasn't through with us yet. So it has actually chosen to kill one of our lamps. Dengit really likes to play tricks on us, apparently, for some reason. Okay, so we are at our periapsis, and now we are burning to lower our apoapsis. Theoretically, we could just go directly and aerobrake somewhere over Kerbin, but I thought it would be better that we descend to the lower orbit a little bit and then just do a couple of orbits until we get a sunrise at KSC, hopefully. So that were my hopes anyway. So probably on the next orbit we would go for the landing. That's the plan anyway. Or the orbit after that actually, because it's just sunrise at KSC. And I like to put the waypoint for the KSC when I'm landing, simply because it gives me a rough ETA when I should be getting there. And the distance from it. So doing the deorbit burn, putting the periapsis to roughly 15,000, making sure that we transfer all of the fuel forward just to maintain stability on the re-entry. We don't want our SSTO to be doing backflips on the re-entry, right? So yes. Speaking of not wanting the SSTO to do backflips, then I do one myself. Well, yeah, you get the picture. Anyway, turning on lights and... Okay, turning our Rapier engines, putting them in air breathing mode, and opening our air vents, and once we actually get to some altitude we will be opening our air brakes, just to make sure that we are braking hard as we can. So we have 540 kilometers to the KSC, so we actually don't need to be braking more. We could actually even kick engines a little bit and making sure that we travel fast. Okay, well, now we're above the desert, so we still have another whole continent to cross. So I don't think there is much value in us decelerating much faster, so let us rather than just... Let's see, and if we go for around 25 or 20, between 20 and 25 kilometer altitude, because there we can basically super cruise at like 1000 meters per second roughly. So we should have plenty of delta V, given the fact that we are in air breathing mode, so yeah, you don't have to worry about it. Okay, we already are seeing the mountains above the KSC. And we got some re-entry effects because we're at 15 kilometers running at basically Mach 3.5, so yes, of course we should be getting re-entry effects. We We were burning pretty hard, but then now that we are coming over the KSC, we should probably shut down our Rapiers or minimize the thrust and then just start kicking in the aero brakes as well. Deleting the custom waypoint just to make sure that it doesn't mislead us from the runway, because it's not on the runway. And yeah, this is, I think, the EVA report that I never managed to get over the mountains or highlands, but then again, we're not here to do that. Our mission is to return Mike and Phoenix safely back to the KSC. Passing the cloud layer, and we see KSC runway. What a beautiful sight. After so many months in the space station, Mike J and Phoenix are coming back home. Telling to the guys at the control tower that we are on approach. Lining up with the runway, kicking the aero brakes, just making sure that we don't go too fast. Doing a little bit of the final flare and kicking the aero brakes and letting the plane stall on its own. Perfectly. Brake, and yeah, this plane is a little bit higher gear, which makes it a little bit wobbly. But yeah, what can you do? So let us taxi back to the hangar. And then at the hangar, the boys will be fixing our faulty lights. I think Mike has gotten plenty of experience as an engineer on this mission. So, yeah, kudos, Mike. Okay. Taxiing to the destination. Alright. Perfect. Okay, that being said, let us recover this vessel, shall we? Okay, so we have gotten some ribbons, and we have gotten Phoenix and Mike have gotten a lot of ribbons, including some for the longer missions. And, well, no science has been gained, but then again we performed some valuable information. So, endurance ribbon, first ribbon docking, etc., etc. Beautiful. Well, that brings us to the end of this episode, guys. Like if you like the episode, and hit subscribe for more KSP content that should be coming soon. Thank you very much for watching. This is GrunfWorks signing off.